Hello there, Penguins Fan Line. My name is Shrav and welcome back to the Formula 1 Roundup. This race has been in Miami, and my god, nothing really to write home about. To touch on this before we go into it, but that is 2 races in a row, which was stinkers. Hopefully, that starts to change because the next race is in Imola. Fingers crossed, that's better than Miami and Azerbaijan. I don't think the new regulations are working. We'll give them time. Let's give them time. That's 2 really bad races back to back. And ultimately, we've now done 5 races, and Red Bull have won every single one. Now, the odds on Red Bull having a slip up down the end of the season, yeah, that's likely. We'll dabble into that down the season. But right now, it's not in a good place for sport right now, to be honest. Because it feels like I go wake up, Verstappen's in 9th, Verstappen wins. But yeah, that's how it feels like. But we'll go into that. We'll start with practice, because to start off with practice, I was thinking, hang on a minute, we're in for a good race, because the Mercedes were 1 and 2, and Perez could only muster 11th. Verstappen was 4th, and I'm thinking, here we go, we're in for a good race, The 2 Mercedes, 1, 2, Ferrari 3rd, then Charles Leclerc 3rd, Verstappen 4th, Sainz 5th. I'm sat there thinking, brilliant, we're in for a good race. But then by 2nd practice, Verstappen was back on top. And then by 3rd practice, Hamilton had crumbled all the way to 13th, which is ironically where he qualified. He had a very disappointing qualifying. We'll dabble into qualifying, but we'll start off with Q1. Sargent, Piastri, Stroll, who we'll talk about, Tsunoda and Norris, all crash out in Q1. So, surprisingly, Lance Stroll, who's had a very good season, really, all things considered so far. Considering he broke both his wrists at the start of the season. He was having a great season, but disappointing to see him crash out there. The 2 McLarens out in Q1 after a good showing last time out. Disappointing. The Williams of Logan Sargent and also go out, but only so there's a Williams, 2 McLarens, an AlphaTauri and an Aston Martin, which is surprising to see Aston Martin, particularly with where his teammate has been all season. Q2, Nick de Vries snuck out by 7 thousandths of a second. When it was Zhou Guan Yu, Lewis Hamilton had a very disappointing qualifying. He was about a second off even getting out of qualifying. 4/10 of a second, but he was miles off it. But then it was Hamilton, Hülkenberg and Albon, fantastic qualifying. And Williams was only 2/10 of a second off getting into Q3, which, you look where his teammate is. That is showing just how good Alexander Albon is. A fantastic qualifying from him. Now Q3, Charles Leclerc had a little accident. But, this is the key detail, Verstappen and Bottas never set a time, so thus started from 9th and 10th. And that was the most exciting thing of the Grand Prix weekend. There goes my phone. So it's Bottas 10th, Verstappen 9th, Ocon 8th, Leclerc 7th, who obviously crashed, George Russell 6th, Gasly 5th, Kevin Magnussen in 4th, Carlos Sainz 3rd, Fernando Alonso 2nd, and Perez on pole. But let's just give a moment of applause for Kevin Magnussen, 4th place in Haas. Brilliant work. Gasly 5th, who's been having a very quietly good season. George Russell in 6th, but Charles Leclerc having another disappointing qualifying. And to be quite frank, it didn't get much better for Charles in my race. He just never really seemed to be up there too much. Hang on, I've got it written down here. Where did I put it? Leclerc, just couldn't get past anyone. But yeah, he had a very disappointing, race. But Verstappen won, had a statement victory. He started 9th in the grid and won by 5 seconds. It was worrying. Perez didn't really have a pace on the medium tyres he would have liked. Well, Verstappen and Hamilton both went on the hards to start with. They went alternate strategy. And to be fair to him, it worked. Because Hamilton started 13th, finished 6th. That alternate hard to medium is better than the medium to hard. And they had more pace at the end, which saw, because they pitted 20 laps after Perez, I believe. And that just left Perez a bit of a sitting duck at the end to Verstappen. And yeah, he quite comfortably picked off the crowd. But for the first time this season, everyone finished. There wasn't even a yellow flag in this race. No yellow flags, everyone did very clean racing, apart from Carlos Sainz, who got a penalty, 5-second time penalty for going too fast in the pit lane, but it didn't really impact his finishing position, because he was comfortably ahead of Hamilton, who had a very good recovery drive from 13th up to 6th. Let's not bat an eyelid, that is a fantastic result for the Brit and for the Mercedes team. But again, Red Bull dominant, really dominant. They were 21 seconds ahead of Alonso, Perez was, who had another fantastic showing in P3. And that's, they are comfortably the third, second best team, Aston Martin. Lance Stroll got no points, but, did gain 6th position, so had a very good recovery drive, as did Yuki Tsunoda, some 17th to 11th. Sargent managed to hit Lando Norris on the first lap, which sort of ruined both their races. Other than that, it was very clean racing. But yeah, we'll go through the race order now. So 20th was Logan Sargent, who had a disappointing home Grand Prix. And by the way, props to the driver's entrance. I liked that. Once, so I don't want to say it every week. Piastri 19th, De Vries 18th, who's having a struggle at the moment. Lando 17th after strong showings in recent weeks. That was a bit of a disappointing, but he did have his race rather ruined early on. Zhou Guanyu 16th, Hulkenberg 15th, Albon 14th, Bottas 13th, Lance Stroll 12th, Tsunoda 11th, Kevin Magnussen fell to 10th, we sort of expected that to happen. Ocon and Gasly were 9th and 8th for the two Alpines, Leclerc 7th, so it's a very disappointing Grand Prix for Charles. Lewis in 6th, Carlos in 5th, who looked like he could keep up with Fernando to start with, but quite quickly fell off after the pit stop and plus getting himself a 5-second penalty. George Russell 4th, who had a very solid, clean race, was, only 7 seconds off Alonso. Fernando Alonso 3rd, Checo 2nd, Verstappen top of the list. Let's go through the driver standings, as we so often have, and you'll now see just how far Red Bull are starting to creep out. So 20th and 19th on nil points are Nick De Vries and Logan Sargent. Albon on 1 point in 18th, Magnussen in 17th with 2, Tsunoda is 16th with 2, Zhou Guanyu with 2 in 15th, Piastri in 14th with 4, Bottas 13th with 4, Ocon and Hulkenberg in 12th and 11th with 6 respectively, Gasly on 8 and 10th, Lando on 10 in 9th. Now this is Lance Stroll compared to Team Nissan, very disappointing, seems to be still doing very well. Lance Stroll on 8th with 27th, Charles Leclerc in 7th with 34, George Russell in 6th with 40, Carlos Sainz in 5th with 44, Lewis Hamilton in 4th, who's having a very quietly solid season with 56, Fernando Alonso in 3rd with 75, Sergio Perez in 2nd, 105, and Max Verstappen heads for the lead with 3 wins with 119 points. This showed today just how good Max Verstappen is. I'm not going to play around, but I prefer Lewis. But he showed his quality today. Picked off, didn't get rushed, didn't get involved in any incidents, drove very, very well. And it's worrying for Perez. Really worrying for Perez that, he had 8 gaps spaced in front of him and he still caught up. Really worrying for Checo. In the Constructors, in 10th is Williams on 1 point. 9th is AlphaTauri on 2. 8th is Alfa Romeo on 6. 7th is Haas with 8. 6th is Alpine with 14. 5th on 14 as well is McLaren. Then there's a big jump to Ferrari on 78th. Mercedes on 96. Aston Martin on 102. And Red Bull on 224. Lovely. So as we head now into the calendar for the next couple of races. So next week, as we talk, this today is the 14th. This comes out the 14th of May. Happy birthday to my sister for tomorrow, and my grandmother for that matter. We've got the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix in Imola on the Friday, on the 21st of May, and then the week after, we got Monte Carlo. We got Monaco. They're the 2 races left for May. So we'll see you in a fortnight's time when we go through the Imola Grand Prix. And then, a week to fortnight after that, we'll go through Monaco. Then it's Catalonia, then Canada, then the Austrian Grand Prix. Then Britain, Hungarian, Belgium, and then a big old break for the summer break. We're not all that far away from it now. But yeah, Thank you so much for watching this episode. I'll see you next time with the Imola Grand Prix. Go check out all the other series. Go check out Black 2. Go check out Cat Quest. I think it's still Sonic Frontiers when this comes out. Might not be. But whatever. So go check out the MM. Obviously, go check out Damien's Gaming News, which comes out not next week. It's a different video next week because it's Damien's birthday. Happy birthday next week, Damien. I'll see you all in a fortnight's time. Until then, toodaloo. See ya.